Come on. Going live now. Go live. Yes. Maybe. I'm here. It's an emergency. No, not really. But Robbie Parker is testifying this news. And there's the hurricane too. So I know it's an urgent live stream in the middle of the day. And also you have nothing else to do. Oh, geez. Let me stop that. All right. I'm going to play the trial though, so we catch up. All right. And oh man, I really might say something that's going to get in trouble. I'm on Rockfin. I really might say something that gets me in trouble about what Robbie Parker says. So Robbie Parker, just so everybody knows, is testifying right now. He's the guy that after Sandy Hook, do you want to see the clip? I'll show you the clip. Yeah, that's fair. I'll go to DuckDuckGo. And I'll find a clip of Robbie Parker smiling. I mean, this is such a epic, serious thing for him to be on trial now after what everybody said. His wife was just on the stand. I was listening to it. Robbie Parker's laughing. That's what comes up. If you do a Google, well, I don't know how, I'll look at what Google autocomplete says, but on DuckDuckGo autocomplete, if you type in Robbie Parker, what comes up is Robbie Parker laughing as your first choice. So that's what I'm going to choose. So that's what comes up. It's Robbie Parker laughing. And then there's videos. Here it is. So this is what the trial is about. So you're being educated. It's not because I'm saying that it was fake. I'm just saying this is like what people saw and commented on at the time.
In a situation like this, I remember at Virginia Tech when I went out there, parents, loved ones of slain young people wanted to remember their sons and their daughters, and as a result, they spoke and made a statement.
Just making sure it's as high quality as possible. Here it
is. So we'll see if Robbie Parker, I assume he's going to come out to the microphones now and make a statement. Looks like the family is there, and they're getting ready to make to come.
Kind of froze on me. Actually, kind of froze right at that moment there. I'll replay it so you can see it in real time once my technology catches up. As you can see.
To the microphone, so we'll listen in.
Okay. Okay, I will rewind it.
And make a statement. Looks like the family is there, and they're getting ready to make to come to the microphone, so we'll listen in.
Okay. So my name's Robbie Parker. My family is one of the families that...
Okay, so that was it. What a famous moment. Like a really Hall of Fame moment, really, in truther history, if there is such a thing. If there's like a truther Hall of Fame of different things, there's like Building 7, Phantom Print, right? And there's like JFK, his head getting snapped back, right? Because he was shot from the front. There's that. And then there's Robbie Parker smiling and laughing after Sandy Hook, right? Am I crazy? Or is that really an iconic moment where people know what you're talking about? So, you know, Alex Jones said something about it on his show. He said, that Robbie Parker was an actor. I don't have the clips of it. I'm sure they've played it in the trial. The Vagabond Life is commenting. I don't know what we can comment, actually. So I don't know if maybe I'll delete the stream so that I don't get in trouble. I was just doing it for the live streaming and for the tips too. I'm not monetized on YouTube, but you can still support the show. And I am like, I'll do whatever except show feet. People are asking me to show feet. I'm not gonna do it. Well, sorry, I haven't gotten the right offer yet to show feet. I understand that's what people really want, but you can go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. Okay, and I'll read your super chat on the show. Okay, here we go. I'm going to show you the trial now. We're behind, so we're behind real time, but I'm showing you the entire broadcast of Robbie Parker testifying, and I may comment on some of it. Maybe. Okay, stop. Let me share the right screen. And then there's a hurricane going on too. So I was going to tell you about that. And we have economic stuff going on too. This QE in England, it's a huge deal. You should definitely buy Bitcoin. That's all I can say. Okay, come on. Here's the trial. So I won't talk the whole time.
I just need you to state your name, slowly spell your last name for the record, and state what you did.
My name's Robbie Parker. That's Parker, and I live in Washington State.
Thank you.
Grab yourself some water.
Does this have ice? I love ice. Okay.
I don't think we have ice in the whole building.
No, you're good. You're good.
Just push it down.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Just look cool.
Sounds
Thank
good.
Okay, Robbie. So we're just going to take our time. Just want to acknowledge, obviously, you've been in the courtroom here while Alyssa was testifying.
Yeah.
And it must be very difficult to hear somebody speak about you. The whole courtroom, very personal matters, right?
Yeah, it's tricky, and
Sorry, I just wanted to acknowledge that.
yeah.
It's okay.
I mean, she used the word embarrassing a lot when she talked about us dating, which I didn't know she felt that way. So that was hard. That was hard.
You don't share that. So, Robbie, you're Emily's dad, and you're Madeline and Samantha's dad.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that the jury's seen you here. You've been coming out here ever since trial started, right?
Yes.
So, suppose we're nearing the end of our third week.
Correct.
How many times would you say you've been back and forth since the beginning of the trial to go home?
So I've been flying out every weekend. So I leave on Sunday night and I get here on Monday. And then I'm here all week, and then I'll fly home Saturday morning. And sometimes I have to work, and so I'll get some time in at work, and I get some time with my girls, and then I come back.
And if you and Alyssa have been keeping kind of different travel schedules, because she obviously need to get, one of you needs to be back to help her mom with the kids and be back for work and things like that.
Yeah, I've got the best mother-in-law that anybody could have, so she's been helping out with that, and it's still, Alyssa still has a house to take care of, so she makes sure that everything's prepared for the week, and she has a schedule written out for her mom, and
Girls are in school.
they are now. There was a teacher strike for that first week, so that had us scrambling a little bit, but Alyssa got it taken care
of. And you've had to take a lot of time off work to be out here for these 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
But it's been important to you to be here.
Absolutely.
And is it important for you to have the opportunity to testify before this jury about your experience and your family's experience?
I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
Now, when you are home during your normal life, you're a physician assistant in the neonatal intensive care unit at a hospital system out in Washington.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a little bit more about that later. And I promise you, so I'll spare you the embarrassment. I'm not going to go through meeting Alyssa in middle school and hanging out at her softball games and all that. But I did want to talk to you about your upbringing, where you grew up, your family, and kind of what led you to Weber State for college.
Sure. So I'm the fourth of 5 kids, and so I grew up very easily overlooked a lot. I was even born on New Year's, but I was the second baby, so my parents really didn't get anything new or special. They didn't get any presents for me being the first baby, and I just was another boy. And so, but I was born in Utah, and when I was a year old, we moved to Texas, and that was important because I feel like I developed a really keen observation of what real barbecue should taste like. And yeah,
That's what you remember.
and then became a big fan of like Texas Rangers baseball. And so when I just jumping ahead, when I was debating on taking a job here in Connecticut, and you're making your pro con list, I had to put, there's Yankee fans and stuff like that as part of my decision making process. But
I don't know what to
so
say.
we lived in Texas for about 10 years and then moved back to Utah. And like Alyssa said,
If I were going to comment, I would say something bad.
just a really,
I mean,
I just had a
inappropriate, probably.
love for just things that I observed around me, and always wanted to try and figure out what that was. My parents were really cheap, and we never had any cable or anything like that. So the only TV I got to watch was like Nova and nature shows and stuff on PBS. So
If you want to
Is that when you
comment,
developed an interest in science?
yeah, absolutely.
if you'd like to comment
I was in a Bill Nye generation.
and have your comment read
So
live on the air,
I
you
this
can
would
go
be
to
very interesting. I, like, actually would
buymeacoffee.com/lift the
record some of
veil and leave a
his stuff so I
comment,
could repeat
about
some of
what
his
you think.
experiments if I had
and I'll say what you think.
materials.
Now, I'm not going to make any commentary about it.
Alyssa mentioned
But
that,
if you,
well,
you
the-
say,
the
oh,
church
you think
also
this, you
mentioned
think
you've
that,
been on a mission.
I'll probably have
Can
to
you tell
delete
the
the
jury
episode from
what that
YouTube,
is and how
though.
that
Well,
fits
actually, I
into
have to be mindful of
that
the rules, don't I?
Yeah, I mean,
So I can't
so
make
growing
any
up in
promises.
the church that we did, I don't know if she mentioned it. Being able to serve a mission is something that you can volunteer to go do, and it's a 2-year commitment, and you can get sent anywhere in the world. And so it was something that I'd wanted to do ever since I was a kid. It initially just looked cool and kind of, you could go here or you could go there, but you could also go to Idaho. So so there's some gamble in that. But so I was lucky enough to go to Brazil, and something that I really, really loved. And
How old were you when you did that?
I was 19.
Because that's right after high school, basically.
Right. Yeah. I went to a little bit of college and then went on the mission.
And when you were coming up through high school before you went to your mission, were you into sports? You mentioned the Rangers.
Yeah, I was. Like in high school, we fortunately went to a high school that didn't have like really good sports teams. So like I was able to make the team. And so I ran cross country and played basketball and baseball.
Now, I'm skipping ahead now, but because you mentioned that you were able to make the team in high school, when you went to Weber State, you found another way to get involved in athletics, right?
Well, that was actually before. So,
But both before and in high school and then at Weber State.
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh,
Tell
you're-
us about that. Yeah.
Now I'm embarrassing Alyssa. So in high school, I got this job. There's a minor league baseball team in town. And so in the summer, I got this job just being an usher at this minor league baseball team. But the mascot got fired for he had gotten a big super.
It's okay. We don't-
Okay.
He was fine.
He was fired.
Okay.
So anyway, I was talking to the boss one day about not having a mascot around, and we were just kind of joking about it. And he said, "Do you want to be the mascot?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, whatever." And then the next day he said, "We're getting the suit dry cleaned and you can start on Friday." So I became a mascot for a baseball team.
What was the mascot?
He was a velociraptor. His name was Augie. And so I joke around about this, but I figured I
Who is
fulfilled
this
my
guy?
childhood dream of getting paid by a professional baseball team and having my own baseball card and kids asking me for my autograph. And so when I was 16, I'd already hit my ceiling.
Well, yes and no, because you then were a mascot for Weber State, right?
Yeah, I wasn't good enough to get a sports scholarship, so I was offered a cheerleading scholarship.
The story's just really
and, 'cause
cute,
that fell
right?
under the umbrella of being the mascot.
It's like,
so
oh my God.
as a freshman in college, I got to hang out with all the cheerleaders. Yeah.
And you were the mascot for Weber State as well, yeah?
Yeah, his name was Waldo.
Tell me about the mission. So you went to Brazil. You're 19 years old. You've never been to Brazil. I think you didn't speak
His wife
the
was
language.
crying a
Not
lot,
yet, no.
a lot
And
previous to this.
you dedicated 2
One
years
thing
of
she
your
said
life
they
to the
did
mission work
is
down
that they
Yeah.
had a
there. Can you just
closed
tell us a little bit about
casket
that?
because
So,
of conspiracy theories.
When you go on a mission,
about them.
they'll send you to a very specific area. So it wasn't like I went to the equivalent of like Oklahoma, Kansas of Brazil. Just a lot of sugarcane, really kind of flat. I didn't get to go like to the Amazon or to Rio or anything like that. But you just get an opportunity, and especially at a young age, to see how other people live, see what challenges they have, and you're constantly in a position that you can serve. And it's a proselytizing mission. So I mean, you do want to teach people, share your faith and stuff like that. But ultimately, it's just about serving, and you really develop a really strong love for the culture and the people that you're serving.
And this mission was part of your Mormon faith. You're a member of the Mormon Church. Like
Correct. Yeah.
And I take that an experience like that has a profound effect on your life.
Yeah, it should. I mean, you're impressionable at that age, and it does. I believe it makes you just a much better person. And being a male, I think it makes you mature a little bit faster than maybe if I had gone straight into college the whole time.
And did you pick up Portuguese while you're down there?
Yeah.
So you come back from your mission to go to college, and you and Alyssa start dating and get engaged and marry relatively soon after. Well, you're still an undergrad?
Yeah, I mean, what was amazing about that 2-year stretch was my parents were horrible letter writers, and so and Alyssa wasn't, and so we grew, and again, I mean, she has her life, and she's growing, and she's maturing, and she's encountering all these things, and we just got to share that with each other. And so when I came back, I was really nervous that maybe we had grown apart or whatever, but we were able to pick up right where we left off, and somehow she was still single, so that's why I snagged her up really quick.
Well, yeah.
Wow.
Should have been
It's
nervous
so-
about the teeth situation, but
Everything is just so
And
clever and cute.
and even after you all decided to get together permanently, and then Emily came relatively soon thereafter, right?
Almost. It was about 3 years. So in our culture, in our Mormon culture, that's a long time. But and so we decided to start trying to get pregnant, and it was more of a struggle than we anticipated.
Is that something that you and Alyssa always wanted to be parents?
I mean, yeah. I mean, speaking for me personally, I just remember wanting to be a dad, even like when I was 15. I umpired like Little League baseball games and would referee basketball games and stuff like that for, the rec. And I just loved being around kids, and I would see how parents interacted with their kids, good and bad. And I just always envisioned myself being a dad. I even had a goal about wanting to be done having kids by the time I was 30, so that by the time I was 50, they'd be old enough and out of the house, but I'd still be young enough to be able to kind of do the same thing with grandkids. And so,
Is that part of the reason that you wanted to go into neonatal intensive care as a career?
It's a really tender patient population. My dad was a respiratory therapist and he worked at a children's hospital. And that's what took our family to Texas. And when I was like 7 years old, we were at the hospital for something, and he said, "Do you want to see some babies?" And I was like, "Sure." And I thought he was going to take me like in front of like where all the newborns were. And he took me into the NICU, and I was just blown away. I had these tiny kids, and they're in these incubators, and he was at a pretty big facility, and they had some experimental stuff going on, like new ventilators and things. And so he was explaining all that to me, and I knew, because of some childhood things that happened in my life, not feeling like somebody was there for me when some pretty awful stuff happened. There's something about seeing these kids suffering from things that weren't their fault, and they needed somebody there for them. So I developed a love for them, and I wanted to work in a NICU since I was like 7.
These are premature babies.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about Emily.
Please.
We saw Emily, the painter, but she was still young, and she had 2 younger sisters coming after her, right? So what can you tell the jury about Emily's relationship with her sisters, Madeline and Samantha?
Yeah. I mean, all the hard work it took for us to get pregnant with Emily really paid off, because the other ones came like really fast. And so, so just being that close in age, they just had this connection. And it seemed like Emily was so mature for her age. I mean, Alyssa talked about how well she could communicate. She could communicate with adults like that. And it was like she understood. She was not even 2 years old when Madeline was born. She understood her role as an older sister and the caring and the loving that went into that. And in our household, Emily was this amazing glue and bond, because I was really busy at school, and my clinical rotations had us moving every 6 weeks. And so we weren't in places where we could build friendships and stuff. And because Emily could talk, Alyssa had somebody to talk to. And then the girls always had somebody that could think of the fun game to play, or what we were going to do in this, how to explore this new house that we were in for just 6 weeks or whatever. So she meant something for everybody, and everybody had their own really unique relationship with Emily.
Can we pull up 549? Just for ID. I don't believe there'll be an objection, but why don't we pull it up for counsel as well?
Okay.
I'd offer it, Judge.
So what?
Robbie, we can pull this up for everyone. So this is the trio of your daughters here. Can you tell the jury who's who?
So this was in the fall of 2012, and I'm going to brag for Alyssa. She's a wonderful photographer. So Emily is in the middle. Madeline is on Emily's right, so my left, and Samantha's the other one.
So Samantha's in the striped sweater and Madeline's in the pink sweater or purplish sweater.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this pose, after she died, and we would go through pictures. If there was ever a picture in any scenario with Emily and her sisters, she always had her arms around them, and not like bros, but like just tight, protected. Just that. I just love these girls, and that was her relationship with them, and they looked up to her a lot.
One of the things that the jury heard when we showed the statement that you gave the night after the shooting was you tell the world that you had been teaching Emily Portuguese.
Yeah.
And can you tell the jury how that started? I mean, 6 seems a little young, but I guess you never started too young on a foreign language. So tell us how that started.
Well, I always thought that's what I would do, is just teach my kids Portuguese, but because I just love the language. But when we came out here for the job interview, I knew nothing of Danbury, the area, or I just knew about the job opportunity. And so Alyssa came, she actually did come with me for the interview, which I thought was really sweet of the company to make this a family decision. And we were driving around town with the realtor that was mentioned, and I'm noticing all these Brazilian flags, and I noticed churrascaria, which is a like Brazilian barbecue place. And so I was like, what's up with all the Brazilian stuff here? And the realtor just said, there's a really large Brazilian population here. And then Alyssa kind of got really excited. She's like, he speaks Portuguese. Oh my gosh, this is great. And so that was really exciting. And I got to speak Portuguese a lot at work, almost every day at work, which.
Because you were at Danbury Hospital.
Correct. Yeah. So, sorry, I'm trying to talk slower for the reporter. But we would be out and about, and if I heard Portuguese, like if we were at Costco or something, it was kind of fun to just strike up a conversation with people. And for Emily, it was almost like this, wait. So there's people out there that I can't talk to because they don't know what I'm saying. And so she started begging me to teach her Portuguese. And then it was even better when she would use it and go up to these people, just complete strangers at stores and stuff, and just rattle off something.
So it sounds like she was progressing along pretty well.
She was ahead of every curve.
You mentioned that, and maybe you're saying this half in jest, that when you were thinking about coming out here, you were thinking about the baseball scene because you're a baseball fan, right?
Right.
And when you came out, did you have a chance to bring Emily up to Fenway Park to see the Red Sox?
Yeah. This family that I took care of in the NICU, they were from Ireland, and they were visiting. And she was 26 weeks pregnant, so she was over 3 months before her due date, and she went to preterm labor while she was visiting her in-laws in Danbury and needed to deliver her kids. And so I took care of them when they were here. They stayed in the NICU for like 120 days, and the dad, I mean, he was a Red Sox fan, so we would talk about that, and we would watch games. I was doing these long shifts, and so he'd pull up his computer and we'd watch games together. So we had an opportunity to go to Fenway, but that particular trip was Alyssa's dad had qualified to run in the Boston Marathon. And so in April of 2012, he came out to run in the Boston Marathon, and lo and behold, the Rangers were in town. And so he got something off his bucket list, and I got something off my bucket list.
Well, let's pull this up. This is 323, and this is already full, Your Honor. So we have a picture, Robbie, of you and Emily at Fenway.
Yeah.
Now, you were new to the area, so you didn't know how dangerous it could be to wear a Rangers hat at Fenway, I take it.
I was somewhat aware.
Okay. And just tell us, did you get a ball? What happened here?
Okay, so we're driving to Fenway, and I'm trying to explain to Emily what batting practice is like, because we wanted to go to batting practice, and I was telling them it's the way they practice, and they get to hit a lot of home runs because the pitches are really easy in batting practice, and this is our best chance to get a ball. And I was trying to impress upon her that I've been going to baseball games since I was a little kid. I've never caught a ball. I've never had a ball thrown to me or anything like that. And I was like, but batting practice is our best chance. And then, so by that time we were walking into the park, and she asks me, so how many balls do we need to get so that everybody can have one? And she was looking at everybody in our family. And I was really taken back by that, because I was being selfish, just thinking about like, what kid I would have to trample to get a ball. And she was thinking of everybody else. And sorry to go so long on this, but when we got that ball, I did have to outrun a kid. And he was coming from one way and I was coming from another. And I picked the ball up and everybody started booing me. Except Emily was jumping up and down and running at me. And then when I gave the ball to Emily, then everybody started cheering. And then Alyssa was there with the perfect shot.
And y'all stayed for the day in Boston.
Yeah, we did.
Y'all-
The Rangers won 18-6.
Um,
It was a good day.
And then after the summer, Emily started in first grade at San Diego.
Correct.
And then she had finished off the year before in kindergarten
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah, when we moved here, she had started kindergarten in New Mexico, and then we were renting a place in like New Fairfield, and she went to a school there for a bit, and then she had to finish at Sandy Hook. So it was an odd year for her. She went to 3 kindergarten classes.
You mentioned something just before about how everybody in the family, including Madeline and Samantha and Alyssa, everybody had their own unique relationship with Emily. And Alyssa was talking earlier about how, at least from her perspective, it didn't appear that Emily's interests and your interests always aligned, and yet you had a very strong bond. Can you just talk a little bit about that from your perspective, about what that relationship, and everybody has different relationships with each of their kids, obviously, but what was your relationship like with Emily?
So real quick, when she was born, I wasn't working in a NICU yet, but at the delivery, I could hear them talking about stuff like Emily's heart rate was dropping, and the nurses and the doctor looked kind of concerned, and I wasn't aware of what that meant like I do now. And the doctor looked at Alyssa and said that, she's pretty stressed out in there and she really needs to get out. She's not liking it. It's kind of dangerous. And Alyssa took that as a dare. And so on the next contraction, she delivered Emily on one big push, head to toe, like came all the way out. And everybody screamed and the doctor made this like basket catch. And like Emily's like eyes were wide open. It was an amazing experience. They wrap her up and they give her to me. I was so scared by how much I could love somebody so immediately. I've never felt as vulnerable in my entire life as I did that moment when Emily was looking at me. And then I took Emily over and handed her to Alyssa. I saw Alyssa look at her, and then I immediately knew that I was a third wheel in the relationship. Their connection was palpable in the room. I'll never forget just how overcome I was by being able to love somebody so much, because that wasn't something that was very easy for me in my life. As far as our interests go, she didn't take to fishing as much as maybe I would have liked, or other things, but she knew what I found interesting, and like Alyssa gave some examples, but baseball was one. She enjoyed coming and sitting next to me on the couch and watching a baseball game. And the guy that hit the ball was a player named David Murphy. And so she made me, when I was watching a game, whenever David Murphy got up to bat, she wanted me to get her so she could come watch him bat. And so she knew how to connect with anybody and everybody, whether it be a dad who was incapable of drawing a giraffe, or somebody at Costco checking her out, like checking our family out. She could develop a connection, and she had inside jokes with people I didn't even know that she knew.
So, Robbie, I want to take you into December. That the jury's heard about your last moments with Emily because while she was alive, because you shared that with the world, that you and she were up before everybody else, and you were out the door, and you said goodbye, and I love you in Portuguese.
I didn't need to set an alarm clock when Emily was alive. She always woke up early.
She was up early.
So we had to set a rule that she wasn't allowed to get out of her bed before 7. And so when I got up and I peeked my head in her room, she was already sitting at her bed, just really obediently waiting for 7 o'clock to happen. And when I poked my head in, she smiled and she said, "Bom dia. Bom dia. Como está?"
You were at work at Danbury Hospital when you heard that something was happening at the school.
Yeah, we were rounding on our patients, and so we were talking with another family and talking about what was going on with their baby and what our plan was for the day. And I felt my phone on my pocket buzzing. Didn't recognize the number, sent it to voicemail, and then afterwards, I stepped out and checked the voicemail, and I couldn't even get done listening to it because Alyssa was calling me.
Your Honor, before we go any further, maybe we should take our.
I think this is a perfect time. So we will take a 15-minute afternoon break.
Okay. All right. So that's the Robbie Parker part of the show. Yeah, people are tuning in. I don't want to be, you know what? As a matter of fact, God, what can I say? I don't want to lose cred, like street cred or anything. But all of the witnesses so far, I have found all of the witnesses, all the people that were on the stand, a lot of whom got emotional, to not be unbelievable. Like I wasn't like that. There's nobody so far in the Sandy Hook trial that I think has like Amber Heard status for me. And I'm someone who would have said in the past, I would have said, well, I might have said that. What are you allowed to say on YouTube? I can say, like in the past, I might have said nobody died at Sandy Hook, but now I watched the trials, and everybody does seem really emotional. So, and I don't know, I'm not an expert, but a lot of them seem like they're really crying and stuff. So I don't want to say it didn't happen. It's just, but it's just on the other hand, okay, I feel you can feel bad for him, and I think people should feel bad for him. You know, I think people can feel bad for him. People should feel bad for him. Bad things happen to people who bad things happen to sometimes. So he had this terrible thing happen to him. And then for whatever reason, he was caught smiling and laughing before making a statement. And for some reason, being the only parent who made one of these statements, like the featured, like Robbie Parker. People are asking right now who are tuned into this. They're like, what is this? I see people in the chat. What's going on? What is this? It's Robbie Parker. It's Robbie freaking Parker. Like, how long have you been looking at stuff? It's Robbie freaking Parker. He is the guy. It's like the whole Sandy Hook conspiracy theory can be summed up with a meme of Robbie Parker. smiling and laughing before talking about his dead child. But that doesn't mean it didn't happen. It's just that people interpreted it to mean that it didn't happen at the time. They said, oh, he's an actor, or it looks like he's acting. And you know what? I am an actor. And you know what? When you look at, what can I say? When you look at it, and I'm not saying you've heard everything I said, right? The disclaimers. But when you look at it, it does look like he's getting into character. You know, it does look that way. Like, and I say that as someone who's an actor and has seen people get into character before and having gotten into character for like a sad scene. That's what it looked like. So I don't see what Alex Jones saying that's what it looked like. You know, it's free speech, you know. So, but we're watching the trial. It's about to get really sad. But I would challenge people, really, because I've debunked a lot of conspiracy theories about Sandy Hook, a lot of them, which I've mentioned them a bunch of times on the show. But all the ones I've gone through, like the school being closed, and Adam Lanza not existing, the David Wheeler actually being the sloppy sniper. I mean, that was totally debunked by this trial. What else? The children never, you know, I think that's all. The children never existing, I think, has been mostly settled. So, and then, like I said, when I listen to it, I genuinely feel bad. I'm like, oh, even though I'm a conspiracy theorist, and like I can't shake some of the stuff about Sandy Hook. Like Wayne Carver's press conference is still the weirdest, wildest press conference with a medical examiner in the history of press conferences with medical examiners. And he said, and he's deceased now, but he said, I hope this doesn't all come crashing down on our heads later. And I don't know what he meant by that. So I still think, you know, I still am a defender of free speech. I just think, well, people have conspiracy theories. I've already gone over it. People have conspiracy theories. I have conspiracy theories sometimes. There are things I believed, which I don't believe anymore. And there's things I believed strongly before, which now I have questions about. But I think I had a right to believe the things and say the things. And I think what they proved in the trial is that, oh, I can fast forward. We can skip most of the break. I think they proved in the trial. I think they've shown that Alex Jones did believe that it was all staged, genuinely. And I defend the right of people to be delusional. And, you know, when you think about it, people are delusional all the time. There are all kinds of crazy conspiracy theories people believe in. Like there's one going around now that you can actually change your gender. Like that's a crazy conspiracy theory, but it's very commonly held, and people don't give you a hard time. In fact, if you say the opposite, then you're a terrible person, right? So there are conspiracy theories. We all have to believe in them. So I'm just saying, if you believe Sandy Hook is a hoax, I think you should be able to say it without them censoring you. But when I've said that before, YouTube's taking it down. They might take this down too. Maybe just because of the live chat. I'm not sure. Because people have questions about things. I defend people's rights to have questions. Mirari says, what about 9/11? Yeah, what about 9/11? What can we talk about? I'm here trying to figure out ways we can talk about things on YouTube without getting censored and still say them. I'm trying to figure it out. I went with a list of things on one of my previous shows where I said, oh, YouTube says you can't say X, Y, and Z. So about 9/11, well, you can't say there were no planes. So I'll leave it at that. But you can say there were dancing Israelis. You can say somebody shorted the airlines, so somebody knew it was going to happen. Definitely people knew about it in advance. There was definitely foreknowledge of 9/11 by different people. And then obviously the buildings were wired with explosives. I mean, what the fuck, man? Can't say it. You look at the building, look at 9/11, and buildings literally explode. And then you're supposed to think, oh, they structural failure. They fucking blow up, like streaking outwards, 100 miles an hour. I don't know. Whenever I look at videos of the towers collapsing, I'm like, they're not collapsing. They're literally blowing up. Building 7 was different. It was like a regular controlled demolition. The buildings 1 and 2 was a different kind of controlled demolition. Can I say any of the stuff? I don't know. What's the official story? Structural failure. Wikipedia says. What do I say to fix it? What I just said. I have to say, according to authorities, or everything I just said is what conspiracy theorists say. Dan Whiffen says, I'm a structural engineer. What happened makes sense from a physics perspective. You mean the part where the top of the building started blowing out like that? Like a volcano? You mean that? Like a pyroclastic blast? Is that what you mean? Or yeah, that's totally normal. Buildings large steel skyscrapers totally explode when they when they have small fires. Just blow up. Fake. I guess you can't say any of those things. I'm fast forwarding. I might have to delete this stream. Oh, I have some buy me a coffees. You can, I can read your super chat live on the air if you buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. And I wanted to thank Brian M. First of all, who's been buying me coffees like every show. Oh, and Brian M. again, thank you. Says if they would stop conspiring, we would reduce our paranoia. If only we could take them to trial. That's a good comment. If they would stop conspiring, yeah, that's true. Someone bought 3 coffees and says Mormons are sci-fi super homo. You can't say that. I don't think you can say that about Mormons because that's directed at someone's faith. But I feel like it's okay to make fun of people for their faith. I make fun of Christians all the time, even though I like them. I think you should be able to make fun of whoever. I think you should even though it's sad, I think you should be able to make fun of Robbie Parker. That's all. And that's a different, like not everybody has that philosophy, I realized. And I'm not trying to make fun of him today. Like I think it could, like Sandy Hook, I think it could be really sad. But I still think, unfortunately, like he's a public figure and stuff. And unfortunately, that's life. Unfortunately. But because of our freedoms, because we like our freedoms, we've decided that it's okay to do stuff like that, to say mean things about people. That's what we decided when we did the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and stuff. We decided, oh, it's more important to be able to say mean things about people than it is to protect your feelings, basically. But not everybody believes that anymore. People believe it's actually more important to. I hope the broadcast hasn't started. People think it's more important to protect your feelings than it is to be able to say mean things. That's the current regime we live in now. That the feelings are the most important. Okay, I got to make sure I'm not missing the trial. There's also a hurricane right now. Oh, did I read all the? Let me hold on. Someone bought me 3 coffees and said that rude thing about Mormons, said, "Show us your feet, loser." But it's just 3 coffees. There's no way. And then someone else, probably the same person, said, "Show your feet, you punk ass bitch." So, yeah, I know, but you have to be way nicer about it. Very cautious not to share pictures of myself sitting by the pool with my feet, because those are really really protect pictures of yourself, of stuff people want to see. You know what I mean? Even if you don't think it's anything special, some people do. You know, there are feet perverts out there. All right, hold on. Let me make sure I'm getting the trial. I didn't want to just stream the law and crime stream. Do you think I picked a good title for the stream? Emergency, I said. Emergency stream. I'm still streaming this channel that I was on, which says streaming event to start soon. And it says Alex Jones trial. Just let me make sure. And then I'll do a show later today too, I guess, where I talk about economics. Okay, it's cool. It's cool. I'm watching the streams. I see what's up. Everything's good. Oh yeah, I really do have some coffees to read out for the next show. So I saw you guys in the chat. I see what people are saying about Robbie Parker, and I think it's really rude, but I defend your right to think. I have to always come out on the side. Like, I defend people who have thoughts that are offensive, because I just sometimes do, I can't help it. Sometimes I think things that are just, if I said them and the wrong person heard it, it wouldn't be cool, because some things I think are funny. Some things I think are fake. Some people I think are death fakers. People find that stuff really offensive. Oh, the trial's back on Law and Crime. Okay, come on, pick it up over here on Fox. I don't want to have to stream the Law and Crime channel, even though it's a trial, so anybody can stream it. They have their logo. Oh, if I cover up their logo with my face. Hold on, let's see. Let's see if this other live stream picks back up. The lawyers are there. They're talking to the judge. Robbie Parker's about to testify about like how Alex Jones hurt him.
Let's see, that's all. I don't know if it was inadvertent or whatnot. And
I just haven't proofread it yet, and I'm too tired right now.
me too, but it just there it is.
I wish I had brought out the, while we're here, we're trying, I don't know, Attorney Maddie wants to come back. So I did just glance for the first time at your proposed interrogatories and verdict forms. So I haven't really looked too much at it, but the big thing I noticed between the two of them is you have punitive damages, not just for the couple, right? But for, and you don't have that in yours. You broke it down differently.
Damages for common law, but we don't have couple damages.
Right, but in your, I thought in your verdict form, you didn't have the common law punitive damages broken down. No. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Understanding of law, it is that punitive damages under common law are either attorneys, are attorneys, but you have the election of choosing either an affidavit of fees and or submitting the retainer agreement and getting, called the third or 40%, whatever it is. And that's an election. It's been a long time since I've tried a civil case, but that's my understanding of the law.
Pat,
But I don't, and I guess the question of attorney's fees begs that
Pat
question because.
Hauser says truth is often rude, Nathan. I've got one of your Truth Matters t-shirts in my laundry basket right now. What happened to that? I still have those. You can still check out our t-shirts. We still have Truth Matters. Let's see, I'll show you. Go to truthclothing.io.
So Ryan says, hey, Ryan,
And you can leave a message there too, by the way. You can leave a message when you make an order.
So the other thing, what about that?
There's, oh, see?
Economic damages. There's no evidence of economic damages.
That's at truthclothing.io.
Security system?
No, Judge, in fairness, I've been all over that. And in the complaint, whether they pled enough for, because if they haven't pled enough.
Are you talking about the ascertainable economic loss of a couple? I'm talking about,
Yeah, the
no,
t-shirt.
on put aside couple for a second, just economic damages and non-economic. Yeah, no, I know, because that's a big issue, but so just in general, economic damage, non-couple, economic and non-economic, the only economic damage I heard was the security system or something. You're not claiming economic damages beside couple.
Makes sense to set this as
'Cause you're-
separate category. I mean, there's certain evidence here. Only
What's the evidence? He brought out on, he brought out on his cross, that was it.
John Edward in the chat says, I believe in free speech, but I don't believe in harassing people. Well, I don't think Alex Jones, they'd have to prove in court that he harassed them. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. So
Why would we charge him on economic?
since they didn't have a chance, he didn't have a chance to defend himself against charges that he actually defamed them. He was found guilty by default. So if he actually harassed them, yeah, I don't believe in harassment. Like if he if there was like targeted harassment, then that's not cool. But I don't think that what he did necessarily qualifies as that. That's all. He said Robbie Parker looked like an actor, I think. But he did actually. So he wasn't. But that doesn't mean it's sad. We can be sad. But did Alex Jones actually harass or I don't know. I just don't. I haven't seen proof. That's all.
That's what I'm thinking.
And then I guess a couple we talk about tomorrow. I mean, maybe there is the ascertainable economic loss question.
And like I said, I would have loved to see a trial. That's what I would love to see. Is if this was a real trial, I would be like, oh, great, because I want to know for sure, because I'm in the business, right? I've written stories about Sandy Hook. So they could sue me if what Alex Jones did was wrong. So my interpretation of the law is that what Alex Jones said was not defamatory, basically. It was like within protected speech. So if the law is different, then that's a problem. But he was found guilty for procedural reasons, which doesn't seem, I don't know how that's fair, because they found him guilty of intentionally defaming these people. When it's not clear that he was intentionally defaming them. He maybe just really believed what he was saying. And sometimes what people believe can be offensive. Like I believe stuff that's so offensive.
You guys will talk in the morning.
To some people. Alex Jones believed something that was like really offensive. Here we go.
Okay, thank you for waiting. I think Ron told you all that we had some technological issues. Please be seated. The record will affect that the entire panel has returned. Please be seated. We were just about to wave the white flag and say, okay, you can't get it fixed. We're gonna have to come back tomorrow morning, and just as I was about to bring you in, they fixed it, so we can continue a little bit longer today, okay? So that was good news. Whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you for everybody's patience. Probably right before the break, we were discussing the morning of December 14th, 2012 here at the hospital. When you found out that something had happened, and you checked your phone, and you were describing how, as you were checking the alert on your phone, Alyssa called you.
Yes.
Tell the jury about that call and what you then did next.
So I was listening to the voicemail that was left, and it had just stated that the schools in Newtown were in lockdown because of a reported shooting. And then that's when Alyssa called. And so she was panicked and just said, did you get that voicemail? It's like, yes. And she's like, what should I do? And she had just dropped Madeline off at preschool, and she was doing some Christmas shopping. So I told her to hold tight. I kind of went into my, let's figure out what's going on. Like, let's make a plan. Let's kind of go. Like, I went into that mindset. And so I started trying to find out any information I could. And then I wanted to relay to Alyssa what I think she should do, or what like the next best steps were.
And what did you determine the two of you should do?
Well, in the beginning, the first thing I had heard was that to not let anybody go to the school. Like, they were going to get things figured out. And so that's what I told her at first, was they advised not to go to the school yet. That wasn't a good enough plan for Alyssa. So she went back and she got Madeline, and she went directly to the school. And then we started just communicating by text, and she would let me know what was going on. I asked her if she wanted me to leave the hospital and go to her. And she said that she goes, no, because if Emily did get hurt and she went to the hospital, then you're right where she needs you. So I stayed at the hospital for a little bit.
And where was Samantha?
Samantha was shopping with Alyssa, and then at the beginning when Alyssa got to the firehouse, they were with her, and one of our neighbors whose son was also in the school, she was able to get her son, and as she was leaving, she said, "Do you want me to take the girls home?" So Alyssa let her take the girls home with her.
And then after some time, I take it you joined Alyssa at the firehouse.
Eventually, yeah. She mentioned that the hospital had been put in lockdown, and I tried to leave, and I was stopped by a police officer. He wouldn't let me leave, and so I ended up using my badge, and I snuck into the back door of the emergency room, and I found somebody to talk to see if any kids had been brought there. And he just looked at me and said, "You should probably just go be with your wife." And he let me go out the ambulance bay.
The jury saw.
Come on. Sorry, my technology's just frozen. Please.
The photograph of you and Alyssa leaving the firehouse.
Come on.
That would have been early mid-afternoon on the 14th.
Yeah, I'd say mid-afternoon.
You'd never heard of Alex Jones before?
No.
You didn't know he was broadcasting the Alex Jones show that day?
No.
Alyssa described just a flurry of activity over the next couple of days. That evening of the 14th, did you go to your church?
Yeah, on the 14th, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Our regional church leader just said that they were just gonna hold an impromptu just service. I didn't really know what to do. I didn't know what was appropriate to do or what I should should I go or should I not go? And then I decided to go. And my little brother actually he lived in Danbury. He moved here after we did.
That's James.
Yes, my little brother James. So he came with me, and we went to the church service. And I remember saying something there, just to pray for all the families. And then I felt uncomfortable being there, especially knowing Alyssa was at home, and so I left him at home.
Alyssa described how the family and friends in Utah were starting to get inquiries from the press looking for people who had information about Emily and your family, and that was the reason why you decided that you wanted to make a statement before others could start talking about Emily that didn't know her. But I want you to tell the jury that story from your own perspective about your process for deciding on the day after the shooting to make a statement about Emily.
Okay. Just quickly, Alyssa mentioned that her dad died in September, and the events surrounding his death were kind of well known in our community, and so there was a little bit of media coverage about that then, and so just on our local paper and stuff like that, and but I remember them, asking the family about, do you guys want to say anything, and initially saying no, and just that being a thing, and I didn't want that to be a thing with us. It was distracting at the time. I remember in September when Alyssa's dad died, and so so initially we were my phone was ringing and I just wasn't answering it anymore, and then as that snowballed, and it wasn't just our immediate friends in Utah, but it was just like these extended friends, and they were contacting people in New Mexico where we had lived for a short time, and I just remember feeling very protective over that information, especially about Emily. And I really felt this strong urge to protect her in some way. And so that's when I made the call to my friend Brad and told them to set the whole thing up. And that's all I can remember is just, I didn't have her anymore. I didn't know what that meant, and I didn't know what was going to happen. But I didn't want anything getting out about Emily that could be taken the wrong way, and I wanted it to be, the reason I wanted it to be videotaped and sent back to Utah was so that my words couldn't be misconstrued.
And I think that when did you write it out beforehand, or did you kind of just internalize what you wanted to say?
I wrote like an outline of I just tried to brainstorm just what Emily meant to me and to our family and who she was. I don't know what I was doing. I was just doing my best to try and honor her.
And you were expecting just one reporter to be there, right?
Correct. As I had envisioned it, was I would show up, there would be a reporter there, I would get to talk to them and kind of set some boundaries about what I was wanting to do and what my expectation was, and then expected that to be followed. And then, like Alyssa said, to have it recorded and then sent back to Utah. So Utah was the only place I could think of where anybody would care what I'd have to say about what our family was going through.
But when you came out of the church that evening, it wasn't just one reporter, was it?
No.
Can you describe to the jury what you looked out upon when you walked out of the church?
Well, when I showed up to the church, it was so light out. I had some family members that had just gotten in, so I wanted to spend some time with them. And everything was kind of, everybody in that time would do things for you. And so everything was getting set up, and I didn't know what was going on, and nobody told me or anything like that. So I come out, and it was already dark, and there was just these bright lights. And I just remember bright lights, and I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see anything behind the bright lights. It was just really confusing to me. And so, so I stood there for a minute, because again, in my mind, I wanted somebody to come up and tell me what to do. Like, how do I do this? I'd never given a statement like that. And so I stood there for a minute waiting for that to happen until I finally was just like, all right, well, I guess I just need to start.
So, Robbie, if it's all right with you, I'd like to watch the first couple minutes of that statement.
Oh, wow. They're going to show it.
This is in as Exhibit 2.
Are they going to show the part where are they going to show the part that everybody knows about? Where he smiles and stuff? I mean, they're not going to pretend that didn't happen, right?
The situation
Yeah, they are going to show it.
Virginia Tech. When I went out there, parents, loved ones of slain young people wanted to remember their sons and their daughters, and as a result, they spoke and made a statement. So we'll see if Robbie Parker, I assume he's going to come onto the microphones now and make a statement. Looks like the family is there, and they're getting ready to make to come to the microphone. So we'll listen there. Okay.
So my name's Robbie Parker. My family is one of the families that lost a child yesterday in the same Hook Elementary School here in Connecticut. I've been contacted by so many people and agencies wanting to know how we're doing, and I just thought that this might be the best way to share those feelings with everybody. First of all, I'd really like to offer our deepest condolences to all the families who were directly affected by this shooting. It's a horrific tragedy, and we want everybody to know that our hearts and our prayers go out to them. This includes the family of the shooter. I can't imagine how hard this experience must be for you. And I want you to know that our family and our love and our support goes out to you as well. At this time, our thanks go out to so many people, so many friends and family and complete strangers who we don't know, for all the love, condolences, and support that you've given us. My daughter, Emily, would be one of the first ones to be standing and giving her love and support to all those victims, because that's the type of person that she is. Not because of any parenting that my wife and I could have done, but because those are the gifts that were given to her by her Heavenly Father.
Robbie, when you came out of the church, who was part of the group that came out with you?
My mom. Sorry, she passed away, so it's hard to see her. My dad and my little brother, and then our church leader.
As you approached the microphone, you smiled. Do you remember that moment?
I do.
What happened there?
It's crazy how many things can be happening at once. I have this thing where when I get nervous and I try and relax or I try to calm down, I'll chuckle or I give this laugh. I would do that when I played basketball before I'd shoot a free throw to calm myself down. Like, just try and tell myself, like, everything's okay, it's cool, you got this. As I started to walk away, my dad, he thinks it can be funny sometimes. And he said, as I started to walk off, he's like, "Go get him, Augie." And it's just a dumb dad joke.
Augie was the name of the mascot that you were in high school.
Right. Kind of became a nickname.
You weren't expecting him to say that.
I wasn't expecting anything that was happening around me. So no.
But it caught your attention and you flashed a smile.
Well, yeah, I mean, if your dad making a dad joke, you have to give him some credit, I guess.
And you know that clip of those first few seconds, as you're approaching the microphone to memorialize your daughter, has been played by Alex Jones countless times. Do you know that?
Yeah. I
Did you know, Mr. Parker, that I asked Alex Jones about that in his deposition? Have you ever seen his deposition?
Yes. So I do remember that and reading that in the deposition.
Your Honor, what I'd like to do now is play, as an admission, a section of Mr. Jones' deposition. Which one, sir?
That day, after the Sandy Hook tragedy, the father of one of the children spoke to the press outside his church. Did you know that? Yes. Did you watch that live? I watched it. I don't remember if I watched it live. When did you watch it? I know I watched the Robbie Parker videos every time. I'm talking about the statement that Mr. Parker gave the day after the shooting.
I've like watched it many times, and I watched it back at that time. I don't remember 10 years later how I watched it or exactly when I watched it.
What was this child's name who was murdered at Sandy Hook?
I don't remember.
You've repeatedly referred to Mr. Parker as an actor throughout the years, correct?
I said it looked fake to me.
Answer my question. You called him an actor, did you know?
No, I think I said he looked like acting.
You know that the jury's going to see videos of you talking about Mr. Parker, correct?
Okay.
Do you know that? Objection.
I mean, I'm sure.
Okay. And so do you deny that you called Mr. Parker an actor?
I may have called him an actor.
Why don't you go ahead and continue to play it? You thought he was acting when he described his daughter's personality as being one who would console victims, is that right?
Yes.
You asserted he was an actor over many years, did you not?
From my memory, I said he looked like he was acting.
Okay. And you said that when you claimed he was an actor, what you meant by that was that he didn't actually have a daughter named Emily, correct?
Yes.
You did have a daughter named Emily, didn't you?
Yeah.
Robbie, you gave that statement on December 15th. I think if I remember the time on the screen, it was 5:21 according to the network that broadcast. Does that sound about right?
Do you guys hear
5:21?
somebody
I believe so, yeah.
sobbing?
I think I said I'd meet him there at 5.
Did you hear that?
Do you have any idea that immediately after you gave that statement, InfoWars started to cast suspicion on you?
No, I didn't even know that when I gave it that it was being broadcast anywhere.
Your Honor, I believe this was admitted at the break. What I'd like to do now is play Exhibit 550 and start with Exhibit 550. This is a video that's been admitted as having been broadcast 2 years later on December 14th, 2014, called Sandy Hook Film Censorship Efforts Backfire with Rod Dew. Play it.
Happened, and we saw the live feed coming off CNN. We saw Robbie Parker. We actually rewound it back on our DVR and watched it again here at the office. And we put that on the air pretty immediately, just saying, this looks odd.
This looks odd. Did you ever seen this video before?
No, I've never seen that.
You heard Mr. Dew say, we put it on the air almost immediately?
That's what I heard.
Why don't we continue with the same video, 551.
But just the smile and the demeanor. I got my degree in theater. I've seen people get into character, and that to me looks like he's getting into character.
Just remind everybody,
I mean, that's what
this
it
is
looked
2
like.
years after Sandy Hook.
Why can't you say
They're
that?
saying you were getting into character.
That's what I want to know. Like, I know maybe I'm weird, but
Yes.
why can't he say
You had
that's
no
what it looked
idea
like?
that Alex Jones was unleashing a campaign of lies against you and the other families, did you?
No.
That they were posting to their millions of followers that you were to be suspected.
Sustained.
Did you have any idea that they were posting to their millions of followers that you were to be suspected?
No. Suspected of what?
The next day was the 16th.
Sunday. Yeah.
What do you recall about the 16th?
I remember being up early, if I slept at all, and going to just getting on and getting online and going to the Facebook page because I didn't know what to do with my emotions. I didn't know how to share them. And there was something about going and seeing things that friends and family had said about Emily and sharing memories of her. That was it was really touching, and it was like the one piece that helped me still feel grounded to the earth, because I knew that. I knew who Emily was, and to hear people share their experiences kept me stable in a way. On the morning of the 16th, sorry, if I start talking about Emily, I'm just going to keep going off, so keep me on track. On the morning of the 16th, as I was looking at those things, I started to see these comments. You liar, and why were you laughing? And links, you know how like when you put a link on something, it'll show like a still shot of a video or something. And there was all these links and these pictures of me smiling. What were you smiling about? What's so funny?
Before that moment, Robbie, had it even occurred to you that in that moment, as you approached the mic, that you had done something wrong?
No.
Take us through that week, Robbie, as you start to experience the beginning of this campaign. Just take us through those next couple of days and what this incoming is looking like.
So that was early in the morning. The first time I'd ever heard of it. It had just been hours since I had given that statement. Hadn't even been 48 hours since Emily died. And that really threw me off. I was talking about how I felt somewhat grounded, and I was looking for something to keep me stable because my compass was spinning. I didn't know which way was what. And seeing these comments broke that connection I had, that stability. And it was just like this littering of things, and they were still interspersed the love and support, and then these comments, and the love and support, and then these comments. And I showed it to my sister-in-law, and she just tried to reassure me that there's just these crazy people that this is what they like to do. They just like to take things and exploit people or whatever. And that made me feel a little bit better.
That's true.
For some reason,
There are crazy people.
I knew that Alyssa had requested like space, and she didn't want to be bombarded with questions, and we are having to start to plan a lot of things. We had an appointment to go to the morgue to see Emily on Sunday afternoon. And so trying to get my head wrapped around that stuff, but then these things were happening, and I didn't want to tell Alyssa about it. I immediately started to feel very protective over this information not getting to anybody that I cared about. And so over the next few days, as I'm simultaneously trying to figure out and plan, what are we going to do with Emily's body? How are we going to get it to Utah? Who's going to pay for that? What are those logistics like? How do I start planning a funeral? I've never planned a funeral before. Trying to get all these things figured out, and all these people are coming, and they're very helpful, but they're asking you lots of questions, and what do you want, and what do you want? And I'm trying not to overwhelm Alyssa. And amongst all this, people keep coming up and telling me, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Did you know about this?
Meaning, have you seen what they're saying?
Exactly. Because because other people went to the site in our family and in our circle for the same reasons that I did. And so they felt like they were needing to protect me. So no matter what, I couldn't get away from it. And what was just this littering of comments by Tuesday became just a burning trash pile.
Tuesday. So Sunday's the 16th, Monday's the 7th.
Correct. That day was important because that was the day that we flew back to Utah.
It's also the day that Alex Jones published a video about Sandy Hook. This is Exhibit 3A. This is December 17th. Can we play 3A, please?
They're doing it. They're staging it. That's what my gut tells me. It's never been wrong.
And you were flying home to Utah that day for Emily service.
Sorry, that was the 17th, and we flew out on the 18th.
You flew out on the 18th.
Yeah.
You stayed with family?
Stayed with my mother-in-law. Yeah.
On the 19th, it's Thursday.
Correct. Wednesday.
Wednesday. When was Emily's service?
Saturday. So that would have been the 22nd.
Did you know that on the 19th, Alex Jones put out a statement directly about you?
I was unaware of that.
Okay, why don't we pull up Exhibit 61, just a headline.
Relevance, he was unaware, Judge.
It's in it.
Overruled.
What do you guys think so far?
See the date there, December 19th, 2012. Father of Sandy Hook victim asks, read the card seconds before tear-jerking press conference. See that?
Yes.
Did you say any such thing?
No.
Did you know at that time that, referring to you, Mr. Jones stated to his audience, it appears that members of the media or government have given him a card and are telling him what to say as they steer reaction to this event? So this needs to be looked into?
I didn't know it in those specifics, no.
Did people start looking into you?
In that first week between my statement and Emily's funeral, these were the things that were posted on Emily's Facebook page, links like this, showing this content. And so I was aware that things were being said. I was aware that those things were happening. I try to make sense out of it. So I would try to read a little bit of it to try and just get a grasp of it and understand what was going on. But so I was aware in that context.
And the links that you were talking about that people were posting to the Facebook page, were you able to identify those links as being associated with InfoWars or Alex Jones?
Yes, I didn't necessarily associate InfoWars and Alex Jones like together. I remember seeing his face like on videos that were, those still shots on videos. And I remember seeing InfoWars logo, but it wasn't until sometime later that I was able to kind of merge the two into kind of like the same entity.
I asked Mr. Jones about that statement he made in his deposition. Let's start with $12, please.
12 is not full.
No, I'm sorry. This is Mr. Jones's deposition. We've identified this particular clip as 12. That's just our own internal one. Sorry.
you want to say something there, Mr. Parker?
Some of the start.
Is that what you heard?
I can't really make it out.
Okay, but that's what it sounded like to you. Start?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's play clip 13, please, same deposition.
That's what you said, right? It appears that members of the media or government have given him a card, correct?
I mean, I guess I picked up on some of that there, yeah. I don't remember this. Thanks for showing it to me.
Sure, you're welcome. Did you see anybody in the video that we watched give Mr. Parker a card?
No, I must have been conflating it with something you got it wrong.
Getting into January. Well, before we get there, what was the date of Emily's funeral service?
December 22nd.
And by December 22nd, 3 days after Alex Jones told his audience that this needs to be looked into, can you describe for the jury what you and Alyssa, how you and Alyssa were dealing with what she described as this assault?
It was something that was, so we were trying to make plans for a funeral, and we constantly had to keep making contingency plans. Well, what about this? What about this?
What?
What do we do if somebody shows up? What do we do? How are we going to control the media? How are we going to make sure that media doesn't take any pictures that then could be used nefariously? You started to try and control everything and everybody around you because you've lost all control. And the moment that really sticks to me is we were trying to get ready for Emily's viewing, and we're at the funeral home in Utah, and it's going to start. And we had debated, do we leave these pictures up of Emily? Do we leave her artwork up? Do we show these people that are coming who she was? Because we didn't want people taking pictures of it. And we were scared about people we didn't know. There was going to be hundreds and hundreds of people because it's a very loving community. And even people that didn't know us wanted to share their love and support. And I didn't know who was there and for what. About 15 minutes or so before the viewing was supposed to start, and they were going to open the doors, I couldn't find Alyssa. And I'm asking people, have you seen Alyssa? Where is she? And I come out of the room where Emily was, and around the corner there was this coat closet. And Alyssa was inside of the coat closet, and she was curled up, just sobbing and saying, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this.
Is this a good time, Attorney Maddie?
That'd be fine. Thank you.
All right, so we are going to end at this point. I told you I would try not to give you a couple minutes to get out, beat the traffic. Ron will collect your notepads. I know that you'll continue to obey the rules of juror conduct. I'm going to be here with the attorneys at 9 to do some matters, but we will start evidence review at 10 o'clock. So safe travels home, and we are adjourned.
All right, that's it. So that's it. He addressed, it's a serious moment in the history of conspiracy theories that happened today, just live. I covered it. A very, very consequential moment in the history of conspiracy theories is Robbie Parker just got a chance to explain why he was laughing and smiling before it looked like he got into character and stuff. I mean, what can you say? It did look that way. Now I believe him. He seems believable now. He was maybe he was really nervous or something. I don't know. It is sad. I mean, but so many people made videos about him. Why is it Alex Jones that has to be punished? So many people said that stuff. What, you're not allowed? So is that the way it is then? If somebody does something weird, you can't question it? Like today, Joe Biden asked if somebody was there that was dead. So then you're not allowed to say, oh, you can't talk about him. You can't make fun of Joe Biden. Like, what if you made a video and said, Joe Biden is senile. He just asked for a dead person. Are they going to ban that and say, oh, you're hurting Joe Biden's feelings? Or something? I mean, we're really, that's all I'm saying. But it is definitely, definitely the Sandy Hook stuff is interesting. Having an interesting evolution on it. Having an interesting evolution on it. So, is it okay? But it was okay, I feel like, for people to say. They thought it was a hoax to take our guns. But they say that's not okay to say. But currently right now, there's rules against it. So, and in as much as I say we have free speech and we're allowed to say things that people find offensive, it's not true, actually. Not really. Like, I can't say, I couldn't say, like, I definitely couldn't say if I thought that Robbie Parker today was acting or something. Oh, there's no way. You definitely just totally couldn't say it. I'm trying to think of anywhere you could safely say. You could say it on Telegram. You could say it on, you probably couldn't say it on TikTok. Definitely can't say it on YouTube. Twitter, probably. Like if you said, oh, Robbie Parker, for example, if you said, oh, Robbie Parker was an actor, or look at Robbie Parker faking this or that. If you said that about his testimony today and posted that on Twitter, I don't know. You can try it out. Let me know. I'm curious about how censorship works. But they have made it, they made a rule on YouTube that you can't say that a violent event didn't happen, basically. So you can't say it didn't happen. So I guess that's why you can't say there were no planes on 9/11, is because then it's the victims that were in the planes, you're hurting them by lying about them, So yeah, pretty epic moment. The other news, okay, thanks people who supported this live streaming. I'll check my thing. Oh, thanks for the tips over on Rockfin. And we'll see. I have some other news, but I was going to do a show later today at 5 p.m. when I usually do my show and record a podcast. So I'll probably still do that. I don't want to give away too much today. Okay, no more buy me a coffees on Rockfin. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I see people have lots of different opinions. Thanks for the tips on Rockfin. Let's see. Jenny says, buy you a smile, I believe. Vogan Filter says, emergency stream, exclamation point. Thomas Hutchinson says, thanks for posting this, Nathan. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the tips. That's what we're here for. So yeah, there's a hurricane, and then there's also this major financial news. So I want to make sure everybody was aware of everything. But I'll come back. I'll come back at 5 and do the regular show. I guess I have people tuned in now. I know. I mean, you could certainly bribe me to stay, but I usually do my show at 5 p.m. and then I record it as a podcast. Let me see what people are saying I could do a Q&A. I watch a streamer that does a Q&A about Bitcoin. I would say right now, I'm feeling like QE is back. So Bitcoin, the case for Bitcoin is getting really strong right now, and probably silver and gold too. It got much stronger today. Morari says, don't come back. Go to sleep. You are tired. Why would you say that to me? I'm not tired. Do I realize the gas pipeline explosion was a wet fart? I guess, kind of. I mean, it is like bubbles in the hot tub or something, right? Ron Sheckelson says, unfortunately, everyone here already knows the truth. They'll never let you reach any new people. Well, they won't. Yeah, they won't promote this channel because of the demonetization aspect. So they don't make any money off of me. So they have no reason to promote me. That's true. So maybe nobody else will wake up. Maybe some people will tune in. I try to use clever titles to get people to tune in. And then we have clever payment mechanisms. So we're trying to work the system. But for it to work out, people who watch on YouTube need to use the clever payment systems to encourage the streaming on YouTube. That's at buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. But that's what most people have. Most people can go and live stream and stuff, and then people give them super chats, but they take 30%. Buy Me a Coffee doesn't take that much. So it's actually better. And then we're not funding YouTube either. Wonder how long till people try to get people banned from other payment services. I believe in people's right to be offensive. V says, is there a free country? I think the free country is this. I think the freest is America. I think. Is there a truly free country? No. I'm trying to think if there's one that's more free than America. As far as like what you're protected, what's protected, like speech, for example, and guns. So speech and guns, I think the United States is the only one that has both of those enshrined the way we have it enshrined, where it's like no restrictions. Because in other countries, when you say stuff, they can do stuff to you just for saying it. And in America, they're not supposed to be able to, except the Alex Jones trial is basically an attack on free speech, pretty much. They're basically saying, oh, you can't. Like, there are opinions you can't have. Mari says, what do you think about Russia? What do I think about Russia? I think Russia isn't, I feel weird about people who are like Russia sympathizers, sort of like what's her name has become. I just saw a picture like Vanessa Beeley and the other one who I've had on my show before. How they're basically correspondents for Russia and Syria and stuff too. Like they basically kind of work with the regimes. I think that's a little weird. So I think it's a little weird for people to say, oh, Russia's awesome. They do throw people out of windows and stuff. I mean, it's not, and it is still a repressive state, I believe. And the stuff with Ukraine, I don't know. Stuff with Ukraine, I don't know. They had areas that were kind of Russian. And then they had some other areas they just wanted. So then they're kind of just taking them. So that's probably not okay. But then Ukraine's super corrupt. So what are we doing? Getting involved. Affected area says we live in curated open prison camps. This is the like this. Oh, I see. Yeah. because the people who are tuned into this are very few. Is that what you mean? Like very few people are here in a open prison. So it seems like I have free speech, but it's not true. Is that what you're saying? Trying to interpret. Hap Hauser says now we're calling out legit journalists after backpedaling on Sandy Hook. Not looking good. Eva Bartlett is who I'm talking about. That's correct. Thanks, Hap Hauser. No, I just think it is weird though that she works with the Russians. That's all. I had her on my show before. She's legit, I think, but it is weird. Like some of the people that love China in the alt media, it's the same kind of people that like it is slanted. That's all. Like I can't say that. I can't take Eva Bartlett 100% serious on Russia because I know she's working for Russia, basically, or she's being protected by Russia to report on things that favor Russia. So I have to take her reporting with a grain of salt. I mean, I don't know. Is that crazy to say? It seems like. Now, maybe she has to, and that's what she believes and stuff, but thanks for letting me know. Eva Bartlett. Yeah, she's cool. She has one of my t-shirts. It says Russian bot. Shouldn't do that, right? See, that's the thing is I'm too honest about things. I shouldn't say those kinds of things about people. They're good people. Eva Bartlett and they're cool. But nobody should listen to me anyway. What can I say? I shouldn't say that because that's what the mainstream media says about them. Okay. Sorry about that. Mirari says, do you watch the Gray Zone? What do you think about them? Yeah, Gray Zone is cool. Gray Zone, this is the funny thing about the Gray Zone is it's Max Blumenthal, right? And Aaron Mate is they're best known for calling out the false flag in Syria, which is something that I was calling out and had like the videos showing exactly why that was a false flag in Syria. And then, many like years later, the OPCW came out and there was a whistleblower who said that the investigation showed that the stuff. So it became official much, much later. And then he broke the story. But I do think it's funny. I was on that story from the very beginning. I showed, there was lots of evidence. There's lots of evidence that Aaron Mate doesn't talk about how that was a false flag with the white helmets and everything. Yeah, it's weird. He just focuses on the OPCW thing, but the Gray Zone is cool. Yeah, they're legit. I think they're not compromised. I don't think they're socialists. I think, but whatever. Socialists just don't understand things. That's all. Like I don't hold it against them too much because most people don't understand economics. They just don't understand it in a really detrimental way. How about Assad? It says Hap Hauser. What about him? I mean, he was maligned by the press. He seems cool. People like him in his country. He seems like he's good for his country. It seems like from this distance, but I don't know. Gary Marcano says, just tuned in. What's the situation? The situation is we just saw Robbie Parker on the witness stand talking about Sandy Hook, talking about why he smiled before giving the speech about Emily Parker, his dead daughter. Yes, I respect everybody's work. Sorry. I just am like, some people really like China, for example, and I think that's crazy. Some people in the alt media really like China. And I think, wow, that's really weird because China is so not cool. And then also Russia is not totally cool. Like, it's not like Russia's awesome. It's not like RT. It's not like everything on RT was legit journalism, you know. I don't know. I think they deserve. It's propaganda. We get propaganda. They have propaganda. We should be able to be allowed to see their propaganda, and then we can weigh the different propagandas against one another and see which one we believe. But, you know, RT, a lot of it is Russian propaganda, no doubt. Even some of the topics they cover that are interesting topics are things to undermine the United States. Like they have attacks on fracking, for example, which is actually to like undermine US energy independence, you know. But they run it as a story about how terrible fracking is and how Americans hate it. So they do stuff like that. They do want to like destabilize us and have competitive advantages. So that's all. I look at the news. It's never, nobody's not biased. There's nobody I totally agree with. 100%. There's people I'm going to be critical of almost everybody. But that's just the way I am. Javier Santiago says, Nathan, when was the last time you saw a real legitimate journalist work here in the good old US of A? A real legitimate journalist? Well, I'd say Max Blumenthal and Aaron Mate and the others we were talking about, Eva Bartlett and Vanessa Beeley, but here working in the United States, real legitimate journalists, there are some. There's Last American Vagabond and that guy Derek Burrows who works for him. They're legitimate journalists. Anybody famous? I mean, some people do a good job doing things that are like journalism in the mainstream. Like I think it's kind of annoying, and but that English guy, God, I always forget his name, who said he got censored recently. He's not bad. And then Jimmy Dore is pretty solid. He's not a journalist, or he doesn't define himself as one, but he's pretty solid. Ben Swan was really good. Ben Swan is good. Ben Swan has done some good stuff. Oh, and the guys at Project Veritas, but they're captured by the right to some extent. I mean, Project Veritas is cool, but you do have to look at where their funding comes from, and it probably comes from groups on the right for sure. But they're legitimate. Definitely. They do their catfish, their unique form of catfish journalism, which is so funny to me. But that's it. The main, like they get people on Tinder and stuff. I bet. I'd really love to know how their meetings go, how their process goes. Like how they make themselves, like they're basically like spies. They're like an intelligence group because they have to set up fake identities and stuff, fake Tinder profiles, get catfish people, get them to go on a date with you, and then tell you about stuff that they shouldn't be talking about. That's high level. That's spy stuff. That's why I'm glad I'm not single, because I would worry about being targeted by somebody. Catfish, because I already got catfished once in my life by people who really had it out for me. So I'm familiar with the intelligence operations, but that's what they run. They find people who are looking for love, and then they get them on camera saying stuff. All right. I'm seeing what else people have to say in the chat. You can support the show. You can support this kind of live streaming. Seriously, though, if you want to support this kind of live streaming, go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil and buy me a coffee, and you can leave a message. I seriously stream for that. Because there's no other way, because I am totally demonetized. I envy people who have like the easy route, the easy thing, which is to just be famous and have a monetized YouTube channel. I look at people with that life and I think, oh, that's a good life. But I think a lot of kids think that way now. They think, oh, I want to be a YouTuber. I would tell them, don't be a YouTuber unless you just want to talk about stuff that's okay to talk about. Unless you have a cool hobby or something you want to talk about. Or you're an attorney. That's what I would say to like, I would go to law school, maybe. I'm thinking of going to law school just to be an attorney, and then I could do YouTube videos. And I can say, oh, I'm an attorney. Because that's the career, isn't it? Have you guys noticed? The latest, the most serious career on YouTube right now is being a YouTube attorney. I mean, they become the biggest content creators because they're kind of allowed to say things more. I feel like, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but there were some good trials, and that guy, Viva Fry, I remember covering Viva Fry when he was not nearly as famous as he is now. Now Viva Fry has like a partnership with Rumble, where he's getting paid obviously by Rumble, and then he's working with them. My thoughts on Rumble is that it's all a scam, kind of, because they're paying content creators to be on there, and then they're promoting those content creators so that they get a lot of people tuned in. But for a regular user on Rumble, there still aren't that many people. But for people they promote, it's great because they put you on the homepage, I guess. But that's what they're doing, basically, is paying people to say, oh, I'll do exclusive Rumble stuff like Viva is doing right now. Yeah, people are talking about law tubers. That's what they're called. Law tubers. Yeah, do you guys watch that stuff? I watch it. I think about it. I would do it. I would stream. If I was a lawyer, I would stream the Alex Jones trial, probably, and comment on it. But not being a lawyer, I don't know if I can really add expert commentary to it. I can say, oh, I can say what I think, like I did today. So I streamed it today. I practiced. Today was like a law tube stream. So I was commenting on the trial. But it's a great profession. They clean up, man. They make it hard for us truthers, though. They demonetize us and stuff. Then we just basically have to like beg. Sheckelson, you said, do I ever go on Twitch? I was banned from Twitch. So I didn't even try to get my channel back. I just didn't care. They banned me from Twitch for showing violence because I showed. So I was like, who cares? There were like, I had like 30 people watching me on Twitch normally. Meteor Dream says, Nathan, what are your thoughts on MAGA communism? I haven't heard of MAGA communism, but I'm really interested. Please share any links you have about MAGA communism. Mirari says, truth was never about money. It's just a way of life. Yes, that's true. But when your way of life prevents you from like properly functioning in society, then you also need it to be financially something. So Like if the things you say mean that you can't have a job, then, and you still need to make money, then it's still good to get super chats because people like to give super chats. You know, people like their messages being read on the show. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like free advertising. People could use it as advertising. People could say, oh, I'm going to promote this to Nathan's thousands and thousands of listeners. They could do it for like $5. Nothing wrong with that. I provide entertainment for people. Like what would people be doing right now if they weren't listening to this show? I mean, it's something way less interesting. You know what I mean? Way less. So it's definitely worth something. It's not worth nothing. And this technology is so amazing. It's definitely worth something. And I do have to I have to pay for the technology too. Like I have to pay subscriptions for streaming software stuff and this and that. So it costs money. And I have to pay for subscriptions to different newspapers so I can read all the articles, so I'm up on all the propaganda, can share it with people. It costs money to get stuff, information. So yeah, people can definitely buy me a coffee. buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be on YouTube because who cares? I can talk to people. People who know how to find me, they found me. They were following me over on Rockfin and DLive before I was even back on YouTube. Put your hands in the air like, oh, let me run a poll. Just how people are about YouTube. Because I've been thinking about it. I'm thinking, what's the best way? Like, how do I make this work? Like, I'm trying to make it work, right? I haven't ever. Or I did sometimes. Back when I was allowed on YouTube and stuff, and I had a big channel, it was monetized. Then things were okay. But ever since then, so I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, gosh, maybe, and then I see people on YouTube and they still talk about stuff. So, and YouTube is the best. I've tried every other platform. And on the general score, YouTube is the best. Compared to Rumble, it's ridiculous. It's so much better. It's so much better than Rumble, YouTube is. From a user experience, from this point of view, from being a streamer on YouTube, it's the best. So how many people who have never, let me see, how many people would never tune in if it wasn't on YouTube? Let me see. I don't know how to ask that poll. Let me see. I think this poll is clear. Where I say, do you only watch this channel on YouTube? So I'm going to do my polling. And the question is, do you watch on other platforms like Rockfin, for example? Thanks for the tip on Rockfin. Let me see. Thanks for the tip on Rockfin. Michelle Obama is a man. Appreciate it. He says, great show again, man. Thanks, Michelle Obama is a man. Now I'm just trying to entertain people. So what else am I going to do? Mirari says, stop whining. Oh my God. You are talking from the USA. Be grateful you are not a truther in Yemen or worse. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. I am grateful I live in the United States. Otherwise, I have views I couldn't express. But I have views that aren't really totally safe to express here either without repercussions. There are still repercussions, which I understand. But actually, if I was in Yemen, then I could live in a palace. If I earned like $50 a show or something in Yemen, then I would be a king there, right? So maybe that's what I should do. Move somewhere where it's like, oh wow, cool. Where somebody like here, it's a coffee for $5, but I live somewhere where $5 is not a coffee, where $5 is like a gourmet dinner. It's one thing you can do. I'll check to see if anybody did this thing. I mean, I'm still answering questions. Hold on. Someone says I answered no because I only watch here. So the question is, you only watch this channel on YouTube. Oh yeah, it's stupid. I'm going to end the poll. It sounds stupid. What I meant to say is, do you watch it on other platforms? That's a stupid poll. Sounds like this is the only channel you watch, which I know isn't the case. Trust Divine Mercy says Rumble will grow and become better for everyone. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, my videos post there. Like this video will post there. But it'll get about 10 views, maybe 15 views, something like that. And then when I did a live stream, yeah, it only got like 8 views or something. So I can tell it just doesn't have a natural thing for people tuning in. Cruise Red Eye says you watch only on YouTube. Yeah, I think a lot of people will only watch on YouTube. So that's why I'm trying to do more there on YouTube. All right. I think that's it. We'll wrap up. I'm going to see if anybody sent any super chats to read. Nope. All right. Well, you can send those anytime. I'll read them on the show to support this kind of streaming. And believe me, if you support the show, then I stream more. So that's why you can donate to the stream. Buymeacoffee.com/theveil. Barbie Star says you found it as a podcast. Now that's crazy. I don't know how people find the podcast. Oh yeah. Langley Larper says post the link. Okay, I'll post it. And emphasize that you don't need to create an account or give personal info. That's okay. So I'm emphasizing that. If you go there, you don't need to create an account or provide personal info. Like it's an easy way to donate. I would do crypto, but people aren't ready for that. Oh, people found me on the podcast. That's crazy. Well, that's good that I still post that thing. I can't believe that. That's cool. Well, thanks, people who found me on the podcast. Yeah, there's a podcast of Lift the Veil on every podcast network. And I think that's it. Then I'll see if I go live for a stream at 5 about some of the things I already talked about. Okay. So we'll see you then. All right. Did you get everything you wanted? All right. We'll see you guys at the next one. For now, that's what it is.